Welcome to Seriously Uncork Yourself. I am your host, Lynn Kuhn, and this is a podcast that brings to you a firsthand look at what it seriously means to meet people where they are in their life. Enjoy the experience from illusions to reality. Find out what it is to restore to high performance, renew your freedoms, and rejuvenate playfulness. I can't wait to share with you my experience and the experiences of many others in hopes that you feel inspired to renew yourself and live your best life. Thanks for listening. Now let's get started. Today I am so thrilled to have Staci Hall. She's my special guest. Oh, I just love this girl. She's also a very dear friend of mine. Staci is a successful home-based entrepreneur and an online marketing coach. She has made it her mission to help individuals get superior results in their business by teaching them how to market online the right way by attracting, connecting, and creating influence that turns followers into buyers. How cool is that? Anyway, welcome, Staci.
Hey.
How are you?
I am doing so great. Lynn, I am so honored that you asked me to be here. I'm super excited and I just love you and I love what you're doing with this summit and I just absolutely honored to be a part of it. So thank you for inviting me.
Oh, and it goes both ways, honey. I'm so glad that you are here and I'm honored too to have this Staci Hall in the house. Okay, let me start off with asking you if you would please share just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. Well, I'm a mom of 2 kids. I'm married. I live in Ontario, Canada. Go Canucks.
Yeah.
And yes, I work from home. I've been blessed to be able to do that for the last several years. And like you mentioned, my mission is to, help people learn how to market online the right way. But it wasn't always such a rosy picture. I started off online probably, like I mentioned, 4 to 5 years ago, and I was the person in the trenches experiencing a lot of struggle. So that's how I came to learn and be, so aware of the things that people are doing incorrectly in their marketing and doing incorrectly in building their businesses online, and seeing them struggle like that. It takes me right back to my own experience. I had 2.5 years pretty much where I didn't do anything other than struggle. And it was not pretty. And I spent a lot of money chasing resources and trying to figure this thing out. I hired coaches. I went to events. I did that whole thing, right? And at the end of it, I still hadn't seen a lot of success. So when I did finally figure this thing out and started having some good success, I decided, you know what? I'm going to help people carve some time off their learning curve. I'm going to help them get started on the right path right from the beginning, not waste all that time and money, and hopefully get results in their business more quickly. So that's a bit about me.
And that is and actually that led right into my next question, because I was going to ask, what would you say to that new entrepreneur? And you just basically answered that how to start, because it's like there's so many things out there, and where do you go? And but anyway, go ahead, touch a little bit more on that. Like, what would you suggest for a new entrepreneur to do? Like, who to go to, and what should they do and not do at the very beginning?
Well, I think one of the first things that happens to people when they decide to dive into entrepreneurialism is they get lost down a million different rabbit holes. Because the great thing about the global village or having the internet at our disposal is that we have an abundance of information all the time. But that's also a curse, because there are so many different people, flooding the marketplace with information. And there's varying degrees of usefulness to that information depending on what they happen to find. So, I always tell people to get really clear on what it is they want first and foremost, because it becomes easy to start adopting what you think you're supposed to be doing and what you think is expected of you. And it's more important to get clear on what kind of business you actually want to create. Mm-hmm. So if you know that, you need to start being myopic from the beginning and just don't don't consume information that doesn't push your goal forward in some way. That's a really hard thing for people to do, but it's really important. So just to give you a quick example, I work with people all the time who promote their products and services online, and they're doing at any given time a course on Instagram, they're doing coaching on Facebook, they're watching a webinar on, you know, Google ads or whatever, Facebook ads. And I'm like,
right.
Wait a second, does this have anything to do with what you're doing? No, right? Or maybe it does, but certainly not all of them at the same time. So, but it's easy to get stuck in that. So I always advise people, get clear on what it is you want, what kind of business you want, and seek out information that is going to push you forward in the direction you want to go, and try and just ignore everything else to the best of your ability and stay in your lane. It's so important.
Absolutely. I just love that. And so you, my dear, are a gifted teacher in the field of attraction marketing. You definitely are. Can you share with us, what does attraction marketing actually mean?
Well, it means a lot of things, and you would probably get a different answer from every person who teaches on this topic. Mm-hmm. But attraction marketing is essentially is a form of marketing that is value driven. So we want people to provide tremendous amounts of value to their audience, which helps them in some way enrich their life. So if it makes their life better, easier, or more enjoyable in some way, that's value, right? And what happens is people are so drawn, they're magnetized to content like that. So if you are constantly putting out information that solves problems for people and that helps enrich their life in some way, they just want to be around you. It feels good, it helps them, and they keep coming back for more. And once they're around the campfire, it becomes like a community, and there's a lot of loyalty within that community.
Yes.
And it breeds reciprocity, right? It breeds reciprocity. So you're giving them so much value all the time. And this is super key. This is something that a lot of people miss out on. They think they're attraction marketers, but they don't get this piece. If you're doing it correctly, people should be able to walk away from an experience with you with value, whether they purchase something from you or not. So if somebody can only get value from you if they buy or hire you, that's not attraction marketing in the true sense, right? So the reciprocity comes in because they've gotten so much value from you. When they decide it's time in their life to take that next bigger step, you're the only person they think of. Right? They just trust you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just love that. Thank you so much, Staci. And the other question that I would love to ask you is, and I'm going to ask you, is so you are so good with social media and you use it for your marketing success that you have. What platforms do you suggest for our viewers to use?
It really, I mean, I know people don't like to hear the answer, it depends, but it really depends on their business. So if you have a business that's driven primarily by professionals, for example, or people in the corporate sector, you're probably going to find your audience on LinkedIn more than you're going to find them on Instagram. So you have to be cognizant of where your people are hanging out. If you're somebody who's, you know, more in line with millennials, they're not going to be on LinkedIn for the most part, right? They're going to be on
anymore.
Not even, you're right. They're not on Facebook
anymore. No, they're not.
Instagram, TikTok maybe. But yeah.
Well, the kids just told me the other day that I was getting old because I'm on Facebook. I go, what are you guys talking about? Oh my God.
You know, the funny thing is I hear that all the time. And it's true. It's not sort of the primary platform for the young folks anymore. Yeah. But I mean, we're still talking about billions of people who are on Facebook. So it's still, in my opinion, it is the foundational kind of social media platform of choice for most people. It's kind of the platform. And then you kind of go off from there. So most of the people that I work with, Facebook is their primary platform. And then they have a secondary one that they're using as well. So for me, it's usually Facebook and Instagram, but I do have a lot of people who really rock out LinkedIn in a big way. So
I know. I've been seeing a lot from LinkedIn lately too. And it's a lot of business people on there. And I love that platform myself. But with all the platforms, what would you suggest that do you suggest a person goes to every platform or just basically stick, like you said, it depends on what business that they're in, but what would you suggest for maybe the brand new person coming out, what platform, and let's say maybe they don't even know what they want to do yet, but they want to start getting themselves out. And where would you say for them to start out at?
It's such a loaded question.
I know. I know. Waiting for this one.
Yeah, it's a loaded question because there's two very distinct ways you can look at it. But going back to what I said originally, it is so important to be somewhat myopic because you will go down rabbit holes and you'll be lost down there forever, but you're going to have to send people in after you. So I would say it's really critical that you pick one and master it.
Okay.
So I don't care what it is. You know, people will say, oh, Instagram's way better. You're wasting your time with this. No, there are humans on every single platform. You need to figure out where your humans are, right? If you don't know how to do that, you just need to stop and think about who the people are you're trying to reach and where are they hanging out? Where are they going to socialize? That's your platform. Now, having said that, you go in there, you master the bejeepers out of that platform. Like learn it inside and out, right? And stay away from all training and all things that pertain to not that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But once you start, because you mentioned when somebody's new, they do need to build an audience. That is so critical. If you don't have an audience, you have nobody to sell things to, right? So then you don't have a business. So you do need to build an audience. So I say, pick your platform and take the content that you're posting on that platform and take pieces of it and put it in other places. Okay.
Absolutely.
But you don't need to go and master those other places. Just honor the platform, honor the way that people show up on those platforms and make your content suit, but don't recreate it. Just use what you have in a lot of different places. Save your time.
Absolutely. So now here's another good question, I think. Is that, okay, so with all this said, and you are an expert at what you do, we talked about the new entrepreneur, and now how do we mix and get balance and make it simple with family? So how are you balancing it with family? I think that is such a huge obstacle because I hear so many people when they first start out, it's just like, I should have stayed at my job because I was spending less time. But when you first start out, it's just, there's just so much more. But then as time goes on, that becomes less and less. So what do you feel? How do you feel about all that?
Yeah, that is such an important issue. And I think people probably need to give it more weight than they do. And it's something that at times in my business I've struggled with. I really believe there's no such thing as balance. I think that's a bit of a myth. You kind of just tip the teeter-totter in different directions depending on your goals. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I always tell people you need to figure out what your top 3 priorities are in your world. And for most of us, family is going to be number 1. I mean, I don't want to judge people's decisions, but for most of us, it tends to be family is number 1. So you have to keep that in mind. Some things that I've done is I've picked seasons. Right. So if you just started, you're building a business for the first time, honey, you're not going to be balanced. You're going to be pouring every last second you have available to you into getting that off the ground. That may mean missing social outings. That may mean not having girlfriends' weekends away for a while. You know, that may be postponing the family trip even. But it's for a season. You can't live like that indefinitely. So then when you're in kind of not coasting, but when you have things kind of up and running, you need to have major systems in place to keep yourself in check. When my kids were little, I used to set the timer on the stove. So I would say to my daughter, Mommy has a coaching call. So I'm going to be out of pocket for an hour. So let's sit down and do an activity together right now for the next half hour. Okay. And then I would sit down, I would do Play-Doh, we'd color whatever she wanted to do on the floor. And I would turn off my phone and just be there. Right. No distractions. When that time was up, I would set the timer on the stove for 1 hour. And I would say, when Mommy's done and that goes off, we're going to play again for another half hour. And so you have to stick to it. You have to honor that commitment, or they don't believe you, right?
Absolutely.
If you honor it, then what happens is it starts to train the family. They know when that timer's on, you need to vamoose. But as soon as it goes off, we're good. And that way you get as close to balance as is possible.
Yeah, I love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and sometimes you do have to, you have to get help in your business. You know this, so that you can step away.
All right, absolutely, absolutely, and that's where, like, I think even Raven says that, is that you have to have something to sustain the business. So you have to be doing something to sustain your business. So you do have to, like you says, put the timer on for the children, and possibly decide if you can, get somebody to come in and help you do things too, because there is a lot to it. There's a lot to it. Just like one of the coaches that I just heard talk about, now that with everything else going on, you actually have about 10 hours a week, correct, to do what you need to do. And so you do have to decide where these, like you're saying, where these pockets are, and stick to them. It's just like your business. You have to be consistent. And I love that. I just love that so much. What would you suggest now to an entrepreneur that is established, that could be an expert? What would you tell that entrepreneur? What would you suggest to them?
You mean in the sense that they are experiencing struggle, or they're,
Oh yeah. How are they going to actually simplify and not make things so erratic, or getting involved in too many things, going down that rabbit hole? Because we all do it. We all do it, no matter what level that you're at. But with your level, what are some of the things, I guess maybe I should rephrase that. What are some of the things that you do then right now with your life to make sure that you're getting your things out to the public?
Well, there's two things I would tell somebody more established, and that is simplify and delegate. So, somebody who's having some success, that's a quality problem to have.
Yes.
A quality problem to have. So when you start having more leads coming in than you can handle, when you have more appointments on your calendar than, you're feeling overwhelmed by it, that's a quality problem. So you're in a position now where you need to start using some of those resources to build a team of people around you who are going to help take your business to the next level. Because to scale efficiently, you can't do it with what you have right now. Otherwise, you would already have done it. So you need to hire a few key people, a couple of VAs maybe, right? And you need to start delegating the tasks that don't require your zone of genius. So if it's not sitting right in your zone of genius, you don't have to be doing it. So like I tell people, you have no business building your own sales funnel unless that's your gig.
Absolutely. It's not my gig.
We've all done that. I mean, we all were the business of one.
Oh my gosh.
I still do way more tasks than I should, because I've learned all these skills over the years. So we feel so capable, but it doesn't mean we should do it.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
That's what I would tell them. Simplify and delegate, for sure.
Absolutely. I just love it. And I want to thank you so much, dear, for coming on today. And I just love you. And thank you so much, Staci.
Oh, I love you too. It's an absolute pleasure. And I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you to you, and thank you to your team, and thank you to your audience. And I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope this brought out your passions, ignited you, and inspired you to restart and reclaim your life. Please subscribe to my podcast and feel free to leave a rating and a review. Until the next episode of Seriously Uncork Yourself, you can check out more information at lynnkuhn.com. That's Lynn, Lynn, Kuhn, KUHN.com. Be sure to tune in for my next episode. Sending you all peace and love until our next time together. Seriously Uncork Yourself.